There we go.
Okay.
Awesome.
Let's make sure we're live in the right places. Hello, people. Anybody watching the replay? Do me a favor. Comment. Let us know that you can see us, hear us.
There we are.
Sweet.
Cool.
Hey, how's it going?
Yep. Hey, guys.
I don't know about you guys, but I am beat and I'm frazzled and all over the place. So I'm going to just take a moment and take a couple deep breaths and center myself, and then give it a minute or so for anybody who wants to join us live to come in. And actually, really quickly, I'm going to tag people and tell them that we're here. Hi, Kelly. How are you? Thanks so much for joining us.
Sweet.
Okay.
All right. So tonight we are going to be talking about guidance and what it looks like, what it sounds like, how you can tell the difference, I suppose, between the two types of guidance. Because I think, and you know, as I always try to do, I try to speak from my own personal experience.
Sure.
And it's and even still, like this far into my path, my walk spiritually, it's still hard for me to tell sometimes if I'm being led by a spirit or if I'm being driven by ego. Because sometimes they sound very similar,
especially if you get out of practice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you know, like if you're not listening.
Yeah, I mean, at that moment, usually what I do is like to take time for contemplation. I'll meditate on it. Is this going to serve me?
Yeah, that's what I do usually.
Yeah,
I'm sorry you're having such a tough time. I'm sorry that you're having such a tough time. I can relate. I've been a little beat up lately myself. Yeah. Anybody who's here with us live, do me a favor. If you're gonna if you want to chat with us, it would be super helpful if you would click on the blue link right above this video that says streamyard.com/Facebook. If you do that, then we can see who we're talking to without going back and forth between StreamYard and Facebook. But if we have to, we will just go back and forth. It's not a big deal. It would be helpful, but it's not a big deal. Oh, you're welcome, sister. I'm sorry to hear that you're struggling. Well, guidance is one of the things that I usually ask for when I'm struggling.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to remind ourselves, I think, to center and to stop listening to our mind and stop trying to consciously, with our reasonable, logical mind, trying to figure things out. And maybe like just calm ourselves down physically, like some deep breaths, just like some deep breaths, maybe taking your shoes off outside with your feet in the ground, on the ground, and just kind of, I hug trees too. Don't think I'm crazy. I do. It's relaxing to me. I feel like trees, animals, dirt, putting your feet on the earth, all these things are, they're transmuters of energy, and they'll take the energy from you and they will transmute the energy. And so they really help to ground us, all of these things. And once you get grounded, it's enough sometimes to just not have to think logically about things, and to just, the best time to ask for guidance is at night, like when you're half asleep before you go to sleep, like when you're nice and relaxed, but you're not asleep yet. Instead of sitting there and thinking, how am I going to fix this problem? Think more along the lines of, tell me what to do. Not, can I come up with the answer for the problem, But ask your higher self, ask your higher power, ask source, ask creator, your guides, whoever it is that you speak to. Ask, what can I do right now? That'd be what is the best thing for me to do right now? What is my, the next best action for me right now? And I listen for the answer for a little while, but usually it doesn't come that night. Not when your brain's like tired and you've done a lot of thinking throughout the day, because typically we've thought so much about our issue, anything we're struggling with, that we're just kind of beat, and we're just kind of thought too much about it and we kind of need to rest. And so convince yourself, which is another good thing. You can tell yourself, I'm going to have an answer in the morning. Source or my higher self will give me an answer in the morning. And then when you wake up, instead of popping out of bed and running around, just wake up and just kind of feel into your body and just be for a moment in the present moment. Focus on your breathing, and just be for a few minutes. And the things that pop in your mind, you'd be surprised. Some of the things that pop in your mind right at that point are going to be the things that are going to help you the most.
Especially the more you release it, the more you let go of, the more you become more mindful in that moment. Einstein said something along the lines of, this isn't verbatim, but basically Einstein said that usually when he would force himself to know the answer never came.
No.
But the moment he released and let go of it, that's when he would find his answers in the silence.
Because the answers are going to come through you, but they're not from you. And so you don't have the answer. So trying to force the answer from yourself is a moot point, and it kind of pushes the answer further away. Mm-hmm. So really just accepting that you don't have the answer, and believing that you can get that answer from a higher source of wisdom and that it comes through you.
Yeah.
Is really like when you start to see things or experience guidance on a whole other level, right? Especially when you spend a lot of time just trying to be quiet.
Yeah. The problem that I think a lot of people have, including myself, I've had, is I always say that we're born with a loud ego and a quiet spirit. And this makes people wrestle with themselves more than anything. I find that the best way to know what the guidance is, what's best for you, what's best for your health, what's best for your mentality and emotionally, is if you don't know what to do, sit in the silence and ask yourself, what do I want?
If you don't know what to do, don't do anything.
Right. Do I want to watch some Netflix, take my mind off of it? Well, is that going to serve you?
That's just going to it's going to distract you, maybe, or fill your head with some more noise. And neither one of those things are the answer. I think it's a mixture between acceptance and surrender. That's usually the answers for everything with me that I've noticed in my experience. As soon as I accept it for what it is, and I accept it exactly how it is, and then I let go of the outcome, my attachment to the outcome. So I'll say, instead of thinking, why is this happening to me? I think, what is this teaching me? Mm-hmm. What is it that I need to be learning right now? There's a lesson in this? Because there's definitely a lesson in every struggle somewhere, even if you can't see it right away. And sometimes just backing away from being so close to the issue at hand, that you make room to hear the guidance. You make room. Sometimes we're just too on top of things and our mind is going da 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 da, and we just don't give ourselves enough space. We don't give our higher self enough space to come through, because if the messages are always coming through, but if we can't calm ourselves enough to slow the thoughts down, we're not gonna hear them. We're not gonna get them.
Yeah, life happens. Life doesn't happen to you; it happens for you
and through you.
Yep, and everything that you develop within yourself also isn't happening to you. It's happening for you. It's happening through you, and it's serving you, but if you, like she said, if you bring awareness to a situation and don't pull back, just take a second and pull yourself back away from this thing that you identify as a problem or an issue or some, whatever it is. If you identify it as negative, then it will hold that label, and you're just feeding the monster by continuing to analyze the situation with a negative mentality. And I find that when you, like she said, when you sit and you think about what is this for? What am I learning from this? Because there is a lesson in it. Nothing happens. If you react to any situation, you're not going to take anything from that situation except the way that you perceive it and the way you react to it. So slowing down and just observing, being the observer, you start to see a bigger picture, especially when you allow yourself to take in one rational, reasonable thought at a time about what you are going through.
And well, putting yourself in the perspective of the observer is helpful, because the observer that sees through our eyes and that watches everything that goes on through us is not really us. It is, but it's not, because you're watching everything. But the observer, when you can really separate yourself and your emotions around things, the observer is not judgmental.
Mm-hmm.
So the observer is the non-reactive part of you. And if you think see, we get thoughts from the outside, and then we think thoughts from the inside. There's two things happening at once, right? So we receive thoughts from the collective. We receive thoughts based on the vibration that we have at the moment. And we'll have thoughts based on all sorts of things come in. But if we don't entertain them, then they don't affect us. And so a lot of this is learning how to not react.
Here's a really good example. I'm sure all of us,
examples are great.
All of us here can relate to this. You ever been just having one of those days where nothing just seems to be going your way at all? And finally, one day, suddenly, you are out doing whatever, and just that one thing happens. Maybe it's a text message, or it's a phone call, or maybe you drop and break something in the store. Who knows? Whatever it is. But that's the last straw. That's the straw that
that broke the camel's back, my mother used to say.
That's the fuse that it's lit now, and you explode. You explode in front of a bunch of random people. You give
away your power.
You kind of
give
make
away
a scene.
all your power.
And then, you're trying to vent. You're trying to release it. And then you go do your thing, and in about a half an hour after you've calmed down, the embarrassment hits. You're like, oh God, I looked so stupid. I must have looked like a crazy idiot in front of those people. Well, I mean, and because when you react with ego, it's this that goes for anything. That's how you can always tell you've reacted from a place of ego, because it wants one thing, and then once it it expresses itself in something.
Ego is the childish part of you, like that part of you that has a temper tantrum.
It comes with so many traits, but you always can tell.
It does have so many traits, but in this situation, usually it's the part of you that's having a temper tantrum.
Usually it's the part of you that reacts to it, the part of you that's in reaction to a situation, and then it's also the embarrassment. Here's one more quick example. Say a guy's out on a date, first blind date or something, and then the girl goes to the bathroom, but he looks over and he sees a girl that he couldn't help but notice that she's looking at him over at the bar. So he gets up and goes and talks to the girl at the bar and flirts with her a little bit, and she gets angry with him because she saw him on a date, and now he's embarrassed. It comes in so many different traits, because it wants something, but the very moment that that doesn't happen, or the way, it doesn't matter if it happens one way or it happens a different way. It's the peculiar feeling you get after a situation like that, because you didn't react from a place of stillness and peace. And whenever you do that, you never get that embarrassment or that regret or that guilt or
No,
whatever.
you'll
So,
never regret how you behave.
right, when you when you react with the flow of things and in the present and from a place of stillness, you'll never have that happen to you. And that's why I find that the best medicine is silence.
So it is. I love silence, honestly, and the older I get, the more I love it. But back to guidance. So what does it look like?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it could be pictures that pop into your head. You just get like this vision, you envision yourself doing something, or that you envision something happening, or it could be a gut feeling that's like, oh, this is dangerous, I shouldn't do it, or oh my gosh, this is so exciting, I can't wait to do this. Or it could be like, I shouldn't trust this person, those gut feelings. Or it could be ideas that pop into your mind where like all of a sudden you have this creative idea, like I'm going to build a whatever, paint something, dance, it's all of our creative faculties. Typically, especially once you get in the creative flow, like if you allow yourself to get into a creative flow, that's another point in time when guidance comes through really clearly, because especially when you're doing something like painting or dancing or playing an instrument or something like this, because it gets your left brain out of the way, so your conscious mind is not in the way, and so you're not overthinking anything, and what flows through you at that point is comes from a higher realm, I believe. What else does guidance look like? It could be metaphors. See, the universe rarely comes up and whispers in your ear like, this is what you should do in English, plain as simple like that, or in whatever language that your first language. A lot of times it comes in symbolism or metaphors, or it's very subtle. It's usually very subtle. But if it's something that makes you feel good, go with it. If it's something that doesn't make sense, but you think it's guidance, the best thing to do is to go with it, even though it doesn't make sense, and to trust it. The more you trust it, the louder it is going to get, and the more you're going to be able to recognize it. So even if it doesn't make perfect sense, as long as it's not dangerous, give it a try.
Yeah, as long as it feels like you feel in your heart of hearts that the decision you're making is going to serve you, and it's going to serve you for the better.
Hey, Mandy.
So, yeah, I mean, I think that a great way for people to find out what it looks like is by, um, I know not everybody is like an expert at meditation, but
you don't have to be.
Yeah, you don't have to be. I think that playing with it, I think is like just playing with it, like just maybe tonight, or sometime when you have some downtime to like just be in silence, to shut the TV off, shut the radio off, whatever you have on, turn your phone off, just put everything to the side and just focus on being in the present, and just bring in an awareness, like a deeper awareness to the way your mind weighs certain things and the way in which certain aspects of these thoughts has its own perspective and different opinions about it. Like, and even if you're going through a tough situation,
it's something that you can't force to.
Yeah.
So I have this example that I use all the time. I was at my friend's house and I was there for a few days and I was getting ready to leave. I couldn't find my car key anywhere. And I was like, I am going to meditate and get the answer where this key is. That's how I'm going to find it. Instead of tearing this house apart, going nuts, even though we did that too. And I was trying to get quiet and force the answer. I was like, okay, when's it gonna come? When's it gonna come? It's gonna pop in my head at any minute now. Damn it, it didn't do it, And I'd be trying to calm myself. I tried to quiet my mind, and it took a long time before I had to go back 3 times to it. I had to go back to the meditation 3 different times before I finally was like, you know what? I'm gonna find it either way, and I'm not gonna force an answer. I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to actually enjoy this quiet. And I'm going to really try not to think any thoughts actively. And the next thing you know, I felt it and I could see it. So I could see where I was. I knew where I was in her house. Her daughter had a tent in her bedroom. And when I had first gotten there, I had a sweater on with open pockets. And I laid down in the tent with her to check out her tent. And the key fell out of my pocket. I didn't feel it when it happened, but I felt it when I visualized it, when it came through as a message. It was incredible. I was over the moon. I was like, oh my God, I know exactly where it is. I went running down the hallway, but it doesn't come when you force it. You know what I mean? Like, it has to be something that you just allow.
Yep.
And when we get out of our own way, we allow. That's when we allow our inner being to come through. Also, there's feeling. So our feelings are our guide, right? And so guidance comes in the form of feeling. So if something feels off to you, then it probably is. If you feel afraid of something, it could be in your head, but it also could be it could be valid. So this is also one of those things that you want to feel out for yourself. You want to take note of how you feel. I recommend having a journal or the notes in your phone just to write down, like, I was afraid and I wasn't sure if that was the right guidance or not. This is exactly how it felt. This is what I did. And then how it turned out, and then you find out how it was, like, what comes out of it. But often when we don't feel good, it's because we're not in alignment with our inner being. Mm-hmm. See, if you're judgmental or you're scared most of the time, or if you're judging something, or you're angry or frustrated, it's because you and your inner being have a different opinion.
So I couldn't help but notice that you used that story as well for when you talked about intuition, and it occurred to me that intuition is also important when it comes to guidance.
Absolutely.
So
it's one of the best ways to receive guidance.
Yeah.
I mean, it does come in the form of other people too, or a video popping up on YouTube at the time you go to look for something, just things that you're drawn to. Absolutely. But it also comes through your own inner knowing, your own intuition. I don't think that guidance always comes from outside of ourselves. A lot of times the guidance that we get comes from our own inner being that trying to direct us. But I also feel like some people hear more of guidance from the outside, where they hear it and they know that it's coming from somewhere else. And then some of us, like me, I think all of my guidance gets filtered through my inner being. And so instead of building relationships with all of these guides, I know that they're there and I do speak to them, but I don't go crazy trying to form a relationship with them because it all comes through my higher self. But that also has to do with what your style is for your intuition. We all have strengths. We all have the capability to use all of the clair senses, all the clear hearing, feeling, sensing, my strength was always clear cognizance, where it's clear knowing. So this is where you get downloads and you don't really know where they come from. This is not when, like, you hear a voice and it's in your mind's ear, like where you get clear. It's not clear. It's not like when you ask for proof and you find feathers, or it's not like when you close your eyes and you visualize something in your inner mind pops in your head, like that example I just gave. Like, I saw that in my mind's eye. I also felt it physically. That's clairvoyance, and it's clairsentience. Clairsentience is clear feeling. Typically, though, my strength is the claircognizance, where I get downloads. I know things, but I don't know why I know them.
Yeah,
there's no logical reason. I just know them and I don't know why. But that's the easiest kind of intuition or guidance to talk yourself out of. So my recommendation is when you get guidance that comes through, if it comes through your intuition and any of these intuitive faculties, or if it comes from someone outside of you or something outside of you, um, what I suggest is taking note of where it came from, how it came through, and just kind of paying attention to, um, you know, maybe how you tend to receive your guidance more than other ways, and then you'll know, like, okay, I tend to be stronger in this area. I see things in my mind's eye more, so I'm more of a visual person. It's kind of like learning, how we all have different strengths with learning. Some of us are visual learners, some of us are hands-on learners, some of us are better off doing things ourselves. Some of us are better off listening, some of us. So that's another piece of it. And I think that intuition and guidance go hand in hand,
Yeah.
because your guidance comes through your intuition.
Yeah, and you gotta like I suppose as well, like practicing, developing your intuition
Mm-hmm.
also is a good way to identify what best way um is, to be guided,
You could
basically.
also ask for
um
proof.
because
You can ask for proof.
um because sometimes, like, when you're contemplating something, like, do I want to do this, or should I do this? um you feel fundamentally that both of them are right, but you feel slightly like there's that still voice inside of you that's like, yeah, but this would be, for some reason, over top of the other one. This would be the better of the two decisions, and you're not really sure, but the other one's just a little easier. So that one seems more appealing, even though something inside of you is telling you this way is better. Like, and
Never
usually,
pick easy.
yeah,
Never pick the easy one over the harder one.
and
Because
most of
if
the
you're
time you
not
do.
sure, 9 out of 10 times, it's the one that makes you uncomfortable.
Yep.
That's the right way to go. I can tell you guys that from experience. Mandy, I bet you know that from experience too. There's like, the path, and then there's like the right path, but it's not like the path. And it's, the thing that you could do that's actually the most comfortable thing to do, which is the absolute wrong thing to do most of the time. And so if you're not sure whether to go left or right, and the right hand path is the path that's uncomfortable, typically that's the one that's going to get you the farthest.
It's a strange feeling. It's a strange feeling because you feel that you feel it'd be more difficult
It's
to
hard to
go the
force
other
yourself to
path,
be
right?
uncomfortable.
Yeah, because
We're
I was about
creatures
to
of
say
comfort. We
exactly.
don't want to be uncomfortable.
Yeah,
And it's against that's our ego will fight that too,
as a
especially anything
survival.
unfamiliar. See, that's another thing. It's resistance. That's what that is. That's
Mm-hmm.
resistance. And resistance stops us from hearing our inner being. So that resistance stops us from listening to guidance, from getting the messages, or from following through with them. And resistance is natural. You're always going to have it, even if you train yourself not to focus on it. If you train yourself to, talk yourself out of resisting and be able to like settle in and calm yourself down, you're still always going to get it. Every time you try to grow, every time you try to do something you never did before, every time you try to do something where the outcome is unsure, you're always going to get some sort of resistance. It's a built-in mechanism that we have for survival, and we can't get around it. So it's important to be gentle with yourself when you recognize it.
Yeah, I heard someone say once that this thing that we've been talking about, the ego, just in case, if anyone that's listening to this isn't familiar with really what it is, I heard it best explained that it's something that we carry from our ancient ancestors. It was the survival mechanism within us. It's the animal side of us, or the monkey brain. Is that what some people call it? It's the part of us
Yeah,
that
the monkey
that
mind.
I must survive. Impulsiveness, the fight or flight, basically. And that's something that's carried apparently through genetics. Like it's something that, I'm not saying that this in its entirety is ego, but this is part of what ego is made of. Like this is the part of us. Like there's the other parts of ego too, like that I need respect from people, I need appreciation, I need a great reputation, I need to be successful, and I need these things in order to have a happy life, a fulfilled life. And even if you have it all, most people will still tell you that there's still something missing, and they can't put their finger on it because it's intangible. um, well, the reason why they have accomplished all these things, and they believed in themselves, but they believed something through a materialistic uh, uh, manifestation, where what they manifested in their life did not fulfill them within, because everything is exterior. So they may have been guided, and they followed that intuition that they had, that guide, but it was driven by ego.
It wasn't fulfilling.
Right. And that's why I made a point earlier that it's so important that you recognize what truly is going to fulfill you, what is going to serve you.
Because you will be guided to make mistakes if mistakes is what's best for you. If you're going to learn more from failing at something, you may very well be guided to fail until you learn the lesson that you need to learn. And that's fine. That's perfect.
Everything is cyclical.
That's how it's meant to be. Because the next time around, now you know. Or you know what I mean? You are going to 100% know a bunch of things that you didn't know walking into it, you know? And so a lot of times our failures are some of the best things that can ever happen to us. You know, because we learn from them the best than anything else. So really the best way to tell what is guidance and what isn't is to listen to it. As long as it's not dangerous to you, like really dangerous. I don't mean like ego being like, oh, this could happen, that could happen. No, I mean like as long as it's not really dangerous.
Right.
Listening to it and taking notes. Also saying it out loud. Like if a message comes through, you say it out loud. Because when you say it out loud, you bring it into the 3D world. You make it real to your mind. Your subconscious mind will then recognize it, because it's very easy to talk yourself out of, oh, that wasn't really a message, that was my imagination, or nah, it didn't really go down like that. So if you don't write it down or say it out loud a few times when it first happens, you'll likely not remember it. Your mind won't file it away, and you won't. It'll be easier later on to be like, nah, and just not, act like, it didn't happen. So.
And remember too, don't tell yourself that you failed. How many failures have you gone through, or have you identified with your, with a situation that you improved yourself from? How many failures,
all of them,
have actually assisted you in your positive growth? If it assists you in your positive growth, then it's not really a failure. Everything, like I said earlier, works for you. These things happen for us so that we can get out of a cyclical energetic pattern that we keep putting ourselves in over and over and over again until we recognize what that pattern is. Then only then are we able to break it, because we recognize that there was something to gain from it. And when you change that way, when you change directions for the to improve yourself, then you get out of that cyclical pattern. So it's really always working in your favor. It's never a failure.
It's never a failure. The things that taught me the most in life, the events that happened that caused me to do the most changing and the most growing, I thought were the end of the world. They're the things that felt like the world was coming to come crashing down. Those are the moments where I grew the most. Those are the moments that were a blessing in disguise. And you don't see it then. You only see it in hindsight, how important it was to your growth, But it's just another example of how we shouldn't get, distracted by the fact that things don't look the way you expect them to look right now. That's fine. Sometimes we have these things called, well, in the tarot, they call it a tower moment, the tower card. It's when you're changing your paradigm. So everything that's built upon a faulty foundation has to come down and come crashing to the ground and burning in an inferno that sucks before you can start to rebuild your foundation on solid ground. You know what I mean? So every end is a new beginning, and every beginning is an ending. And so it's a cycle. And so you will not lose without gaining.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you just keep going and keep expanding and keep learning. That was one of the hardest lessons I had to learn.
Yeah. It was hard for me too when I had to go through those through certain steps, you know. But you know, it gets easier though. You know, at first it's hard, you know, and I guess it's always going to be hard with certain things.
Acceptance always sucks.
Yeah.
Acceptance always sucks. Even when it's like, oh my God, I am not in balance. I'm paying way too much attention to this part of my life and not enough attention to that part of my life. It's like acceptance that, oh, I wasn't following what I know to be true. I wasn't listening to my own advice. That happens to all of us. Don't think that it doesn't. You'll never get to a point in your life where you know everything that you can practice what you preach every day inside and out, because we always fall back into patterns, right? Our brain likes to go on those pathways that are grooved really deeply, and it takes a long time to build new neural pathways. So be patient with yourselves. It's going to happen where we revert back into old patterns. I do it still, and I've been doing this for a few years now. You know, it's not, I don't think this is work that we're ever done. It's not something that is ever done. It's something that we are going to be working on for the rest of our lives. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to change. Actively try to change yourself. That doesn't mean that you're broken. It doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. It does not mean that. It means that you're just becoming more and more aware, and you're learning more about yourself and how you operate in this environment that we live in.
Another really great thing too to do that's great to work on is learning how to, because this does come into this fits into the category of guidance too. Learn to cut ties with expectations. Mm-hmm. If you want something, cut ties with the idea of the expectation of what that thing that it is that you want. How many things have we wanted that we got, and it was never really what we expected it to be, or it was never really what we were hoping it would be,
or it wasn't really what you wanted at all.
Exactly. How many times have we got what we needed, and we're in some way, you know, appreciative that came to us, even though what arrived wasn't what you wanted at all. So,
but it's what was best for you,
right? So wanting,
even if you didn't think so in that
let's
moment.
think of it this way: maybe none of us actually know what it is that we want
or need,
or maybe the things that we want are not at all the things that we need, and we never know what we need until we've already gotten it.
Right. And a lot of times we don't know what we want because we think we want the things that are going to make us feel the way we want to feel, when really it's not the thing, it's the feeling that you think you're going to get when you get the thing, or when the thing happens. And it's not really that itself. And so a lot of times in hindsight, we can look back and be like, holy shit, I did get exactly what I asked for. It just didn't look like I thought it was going to look like.
Right.
You know, and those moments are beautiful.
They are.
How's everybody doing? Is there any I'm glad you guys are enjoying this. Does anybody have any questions we can answer before we go moving? Guys, today was my 13th day in a row at work. I'm off the next 2 days, and I'm so thrilled. I'm coming in the women's group tomorrow, and I'm going to do live readings, probably in the early afternoon. So keep a lookout for that, guys. I'll send out an invite first, or I'll tag you all, one or the other. So definitely join me then.
Yeah. Questions. Yeah. Do you guys have any questions at all?
And anybody watching the replay, please put your questions in the comments. We will come back and answer your questions. We'd be happy to.
Yeah, I love.
That was a great conversation. I really enjoy these kinds of conversations. I really do. Every time we get on here, even when I'm tired, I'll be like, I'm just exhausted, but I'm going to show up. And then I come on and the conversation just takes a flow, and it just winds up just always being so much better than I thought,
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
that's
always.
why
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
continue to show up, That's why I continue to show up with my coach too for the same thing. I'll be like, yeah, I don't have any questions to ask her, but then I'll go on and I'll listen to all the things she says, and I learn a shit ton every time. And I'm like, damn, I'm glad I showed up.
Mhm.
There's something to forcing yourself to show up when you have resistance to showing up. That's fucking amazing. Usually, when you have the most resistance to showing up is when you do show up, the best things happen. How do you trust your gut? I always trust my gut. If I have a gut feeling that something's not right or something is right, I tend to go with it. But here's a good way I can tell you what I think you're asking.
Mhm.
Excitement and fear feel very similar in the body. The difference between excitement and fear is the thought you're thinking about what's happening. So your thoughts on how you feel. So let's say we are, getting in a car and we're going to go, I don't know, on the highway or something. And you got this like excited feeling in your stomach or this scary feeling in your stomach. You have butterflies going on. Ask yourself, like, am I actively thinking, like, what if we get in a car accident? Are you picturing things you saw in movies that are scary? Are you nervous about, where you're going, how it's going to be, that your mind is going? Or is it more like you're excited because you're going somewhere new and you're going to experience something different? Like, it all depends on how you're telling yourself. And I don't believe that when guidance feels scary, that it's actually coming from guidance. If something if your guidance is trying to tell you that something horrible is going to happen, it will be loud enough that you'll know. Most of the time it's just in our head and we're just thinking fearful thoughts. Believe me, you will have may never have thought you experienced your intuition at all. But if you're in danger, you will fucking hear your intuition. It will be like someone yelling in your head. You know what I mean? So most of the time, the scary feelings are really just what we're telling ourselves.
It's also like that feeling when you're walking out the door. Maybe you're
Mm.
going to work and you get that feeling right when you're going through the door. What am I forgetting? And you check, your pockets, you make sure, like, I got this, I got this, I got this, I got that. Okay. Well, what am I forgetting? And then and you can't think of it, and you're like, oh, and you're in a rush. Okay, well, you know what? Never mind. Like, I'm sure I have everything. And you don't realize or remember, it doesn't occur to you until like what, like maybe after you get to work or like halfway through the day, you're like, oh, that's what I did forget something. I can't believe I didn't think
Mhm.
about that before I left. And that happens to us a lot, and like in multiple different circumstances. I think it's I think it's really about slowing down. Like she said, you can't force it. If you try to force something, you're going against the grain of the universe. Only without panicking, without having that anxiety, like, oh, I'm forgetting something. I gotta figure this out. You're forcing at that point. Sometimes if you sit down, like, okay, I got like 3 minutes before like I take those 3 minutes and you sit down and just sometimes I'm sure like maybe it will surprise you like it has with me in the past, like how it comes to you, just like with her story. It comes to you in the silence. It comes to you with the right type of focus and by surrender.
You are
um
so welcome.
mhm,
Mandy says the more you follow your gut feelings, you'll begin to see when you're right and when you weren't. And over time, you learn what that feels like. Her gut feeling is different than her just being anxious. And it's a knowing. And you just know that you know, and you know. And that's true. All of this stuff comes with practice. And that's why I recommend getting a journal or like even like one of those tiny little notebooks that you can like fit in your pocket or put in your purse and a pen, or even just the notes in your phone. And when you think you're getting intuitive nudges or when you ask for guidance and then you allow yourself, whatever comes through, write it down, and follow anything that's not bodily dangerous, and then write down what happens. And so then you, over time, you start to recognize, oh, when I get this feeling and I follow it, really good things happen. When I get this feeling and I follow it, not so great things happen. Or maybe it's not, I don't make the best decisions. So then you'll start to realize what the guidance is. When one more tip before we go. When I learned how to use my intuition, most of the people that I've heard teach intuition will tell you this, that we follow this thing called the 5-second rule, where when you ask for guidance or you're getting an intuitive hit, the first 5 seconds, it's like the first thing that comes through is the right thing. If you allow yourself, if there's more than 5 seconds, your mind will kick in and your imagination will start running. Your mind will start talking over it. So anything after like that 5-second mark is typically when your mind starts to kick in. So it's just a little less trustworthy than the first thing. The first thing that comes through is usually the right thing. Yes, trust yourself. Exactly. Mm-hmm. And you learn how to trust yourself by attempting to trust yourself. You just keep doing it until it becomes second nature. Oh my gosh, this is a great conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
On one of my favorite subjects. I'm so glad that we could help. Let's see. I'm so glad that we know that we brought up some things, Kelly, that really helped you out tonight.
Yeah, that's one of the things I love to do these for, like do the podcasts and stuff, is that helping people is, it's all about serving others,
This will get uploaded to a podcast too. I put the podcast in each one of our groups if you guys are looking for that. It was just a way for me to get them off the computer because it was slowing the computer down, all of our lives and the videos. So I put the audios on a podcast and I'm putting the videos on YouTube. And so if you guys want links for that, just look around at the top of the groups or just ask. So all of these are going to be repurposed to get them off my hard drive mainly, but also to, be out there a little bit more and hopefully, reach some new people. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for joining us tonight and every time. Monday nights, we're going to do this from now on till at 9:00. So our work schedule got pushed back later because it's tourist season again here.
Yep.
So love you all. Have a wonderful evening and we will be back next Monday night, if not before then.
Yeah.
Good?
Yeah.
Anything else you wanted to add?
Do you have any ideas of what you want to do for next week?
Not yet. I haven't gotten that far.
Okay.
Do you have one?
I got a couple of ideas.
Okay, go for it. We'll do one of your ideas.
Yeah. But
Which one? Do you want to ask them which one you want to do?
That's a great idea.
Why don't you guys help us choose?
If you guys wanted us to talk about something that you feel would be beneficial, to do a live about, any recommendations? Actually, like, do you have any choices rather than us picking them?
What are your ideas?
I was going to talk about bringing awareness, expanding awareness, or how to become more aware, maybe of like the signs in the environment, the things that come in and out of our lives, and the meanings and stuff like that behind those.
Maybe like symbolism.
Symbolism is a good word for it. Stuff like that.
Or like how to recognize like metaphors and things like that. Just kind of an extension on the guidance conversation, but go like a little bit more specific.
And then my other idea was esoteric stuff, like talking about esoteric wisdom, duality. Kind of incorporate briefly the hermetic laws with and stuff like that. Like I didn't really develop thoroughly. I'm just a couple of ideas.
Yeah. Hermeticism is a good one.
Hermeticism, yeah.
We're definitely going to do that eventually. We just did not too long ago the universal laws, and we broke down the hermetic principles. But we have not yet done a video that includes all of them. We just kind of wrapped it up with like a combination, like where at the end of, I guess we did a series of like 8 videos, right? The first one was law of attraction. The other one were the 7 hermetic principles. And we kind of like tied it together at the end, but we never really did a video that was like on hermeticism. itself.
Yeah, and
You
we
know,
have
the concept as a whole. So maybe we can talk about that sometime soon too.
yeah. I mean,
And how to get
Nos.
guidance from the universe itself,
Yeah, yeah.
not from higher beings or from our inner being,
Mhm.
but from the universe itself, from universal law.
It'd be fun.
Yeah.
It would be fun.
Yeah.
Well, we can develop it through the week
Sounds
and see
good.
what.
We're gonna ruminate on that, and we will see you guys
Mhm.
next Monday.
Yep.
Have a nice night, guys. Love you all.